My name is Jeremy,
Hi, and I'm Nick.
and this is Cloud of Witnesses.
Journey with the Saints.
We are really excited to have you back for another episode. Nick, today's kind of a snapshot of the life of a saint.
Yes, it's a very interesting and miraculous story that comes from the life of Saint Meletius, who was the Archbishop of Antioch in the late 4th century.
Please sit back, relax, and enjoy our episode called Saint Meletius's Miraculous Sermon.
Enjoy.
Brothers and sisters, it's been an honor being your priest all of these years. As you know, the teachings of Arius have spread like wildfire.
My household and I support Arius.
But I am here to remind you that Jesus Christ is fully God and is fully man, and the teachings of Arius are a poison.
Yes, poison indeed.
And those poisonous teachings have influenced most of those in power.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yes. Yeah.
As you know, brothers and sisters, the second person of the Trinity became man.
As Arius' deacon, I must do something. Meletius can't keep misguiding the flock. We must protect the reputation of Arius. I must cover his mouth and silence him.
Brothers, sisters, as the scriptures say, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God, and the Word became...
Someone stop him! He put his hands on his armory! Let the man speak!
Daughter, what is all this commotion I hear? You know I cannot see in my blindness. Please, tell me what is going on.
Mother, it's strange. This deacon has gone crazy. He's the deacon that has supported that evil Arius. I don't understand what he's doing. He's put his hand over our priest's mouth.
Lord have mercy. No. He's trying to silence our good shepherd.
Someone must help our archbishop.
Guards! Arrest this bishop who speaks ill against Arius. If I had it my way, this is your last homily, Bishop.
Wait!
What is happening, daughter?
He's holding his hand up in a fist. He's holding out his 3 fingers. Must be for the Trinity. Now, Mother, he's holding up 1 finger to show that our God is one.
Guards! I said take him away!
Meletius, you are under arrest for dividing the church. You're coming with us.
Someone stop him! He put his hands
Meletius, your time is over.
On that sad and fateful day, Archbishop Meletius, a staunch defender of the Orthodox faith, was exiled and banished to his homeland of Armenia. Back in his homeland, Meletius was encountered by a longtime parishioner.
Archbishop Meletius, what are you doing here in Armenia? You're Archbishop of Antioch. Father, clearly some evil has befallen you. Has it to do with the Arians?
Yes, my son. Unfortunately, it was just a matter of time. But keep faith. The gates of hell will not prevail against the church.
For almost a year, Bishop Meletius spent time in prayer and on waiting on the Lord.
Former Archbishop Meletius of Antioch, you have been recalled back to your episcopal throne in Antioch by imperial decree. Please come with us immediately.
Having been reinstated as bishop, Meletius continued to defend the Orthodox faith against the Arians, who continued to grow.
Let us be on guard from error. As you know, brothers and sisters, the second person of the Trinity became man.
But Arius teaches that Christ isn't God.
I support Arius.
Let us be on guard, O Christians, that we judge not according to the flesh. Let us be on guard that we do not too quick judge him who, because...
After years of service, Bishop Meletius was called to the city of Constantinople for the Second Ecumenical Council, where the Arian heresy had its last conflict with the Orthodox faith, to be decided once for all.
That the teachings of our father Arius ought to be preserved, ought to be taught, and ought to be known as what they are. And that is the reason why Arius was right. Unfortunately, there are many dividers among us here today. Even my former bishop, Meletius of Antioch, whom I had the displeasure of serving under, is here now, seeking to continue this needless schism. And so I ask you all, let us stand together with Arius to maintain our unity.
Mother, that is the wicked deacon who covered the mouth of our archbishop many years ago. Do you remember?
Of course I remember, daughter.
Brothers, the deacon has put a choice before this council. Either the teachings of Arius or the teachings of the apostles. The truth of God is so profound that words do not suffice. So I will show you without words.
What is happening? What is he doing? Daughter, what is happening? Why has Father Meletius stopped talking?
It's strange. Mother, his hand is in the air again, like all those years ago. But this time, he's holding up one finger. Now a second finger. And now a third finger, all 3 fingers. And now, Mother, he's bringing them together. He must be bringing them together to show that God is 3 and 1.
My eyes!
His hand is shining like lightning. I stand by our Archbishop Meletius.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yes.
Meletius' words are true.
Arius is a heretic.
His hands are shining like lightning.
This is a message from God.
We have seen today, by this miraculous act, that the teaching of the apostles have triumphed over the heresy of Arius. And we have seen that Saint Meletius, who was once forbidden to speak, has now shown us the truth without words. That Jesus Christ, the second person of the Holy Trinity, is fully God and fully man.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we're justified in saying wow to this one.
Another truly amazing, in the true sense of the word, and Nick, I know we say this all the time, but it's true, right? Cloud of Witnesses, Journey with the Saints is a podcast telling these stories. They're not just common stories, even the common ones.
Yeah.
This was about a sermon.
Yeah.
And it's still this amazing phenomenon, that is described, where God interacts and literally works through Saint Meletius to proclaim truth.
Yes, It's an amazing story that leaped off the page for us when we read it together. Remember, we read it as a group while we were together.
Nick, I'm so glad you remembered that, because that was powerful. So for the audience who's maybe doesn't know, it's part of our process. When we all get together to record these sessions, we do what's called a cold read. And what that means is we're not recording generally. It's the first time most of our actors have seen the script at all. And we literally just kind of read through it and kind of get a sense for, hey, how's this feel? Who's going to be what part? That type of thing. And we were getting the chills and goosebumps from this story.
It felt like we were there almost.
Yeah.
It was very amazing. And even when we bumped into the original story, it jumped out at us like, this has got to be an episode. It was just such an amazing sounding story.
Can you imagine, Nick, to have been there to witness that, and I don't know, just the simplicity of it. That's one thing I love about this, because we have episodes where it's not simplicity. I think of St. Nikon, for example, right? You've got this amazing battle scene and
an epic.
And it's epic, exactly. This one, you have a man who is not even using his words, using his hand and how many fingers he's holding up, proclaiming the truth of God, and yet it still pierces the heart.
Yeah. And I love that irony there, that this heretical deacon, right, tries to silence this archbishop very violently. He comes up behind him and literally covers his mouth with his hand.
As the devil would.
Yeah, exactly. And the irony is that St. Meletius, years later, decides of his own will freely to basically only use hand gestures. And what happens is that God speaks for him through this miracle. So what an amazing...
Absolutely. It just reminds you of how no matter what the demons, no matter what the devil tries to accomplish, God's will be done.
Yeah.
And you can't. And he even uses those activities to bring about his truth. Yeah. That's such a powerful point, Nick. It's almost, you could almost imagine, and I'm speculating here, but maybe St. Meletius was inspired in some way by what he felt or could, when the first time when the deacon did cover his mouth, he might have thought, hey, there's something here, there's a way to share a message here.
Yeah. Truly amazing.
Yeah. And he suffered a lot.
He did.
Maybe Nick, talk about it a little bit. He was sent into exile, not just once, but a couple of times.
Yeah. I think even up to 3 times there was such a power struggle, both in the church and also even in the secular powers that existed at the times. In Byzantium, there was such a division both in the secular realm and in the ecclesiastical realm that the whole empire, the Byzantine Empire, was divided. And bishops and priests especially were arrested in this confusion. Right believing.
Depending on who was in power, right? Depending on who was in power locally, you might be a bishop one day and the next day you're being exiled out to back to your homeland.
Yeah, all depending on, whether your hierarch is right believing or Arian or you name it, or the governor, wants an Arian, church to prosper, then, it was such an amalgamation of confusion that was happening that...
Lord have mercy. And it makes you, Nick, you and I were kind of talking about this, earlier, how difficult it may have been to be a Christian at that time, God forbid, that you're there and having in some sense to try to decide for yourself, like what, who's right when you might have a bishop who is completely, errant.
Yeah, very difficult, very difficult. And that really shows the necessity of correct belief and correct doctrine.
Amen. And Nick, that comes about through these councils. That's why they held these councils. Yes. Maybe we should talk a little bit about an ecumenical council and what that means, even though it's going to be maybe a preview of the more detail and more, we're going to get a deeper history later on our next couple of episodes.
Yeah, like we said at the beginning, before the episode, the commemoration of the first ecumenical council, this episode was on the second. The commemoration for the first ecumenical council is in late May. So we've written a great exciting episode that's actually, it's so long, we've turned it into a 2-part series.
Our first 2-parter episode.
It's really exciting. We hope you guys tune in when we release it. And this 2-part series is on the First Ecumenical Council. And we'll be looking more in depth on how this Arian heresy, this heresy that was saying that Christ is not God, he is not fully God and fully man, how
the church dealt with this. Yes. Just as in Acts chapter 15, the church comes together and talks these things through and finds that true faith. It's already there. It's not like it's discovered or anything.
Exactly, yeah.
But they are able to proclaim that faith and in a way declare true Christian belief, what true Christianity is, so that the rest of the world can now compare other beliefs to those canons, to those ecumenical councils. It's a simple thing, and again, I know we're not going to get into it now, Nick, but ecumenical generally means universal. These are councils. We're not sure who's listening to this podcast right now, but really, if you're a Christian at all, your faith, denomination, whether you're Roman Catholic, Protestant, or Orthodox, you believe in these councils. Yeah. These councils are part of your faith, whether you know it or not.
To be a Christian in the true sense of the term, you must subscribe to the declaration of these 7 great councils that span from the 4th to the 8th century. The church had these 7 great ecumenical councils that are universally binding.
Yeah. Yep.
So
absolutely.
We hope to see you then.
Thank you so much for listening. We are so blessed to bring these episodes to you. If you are interested in following along and maybe even writing to us, let us know what you think. We really appreciate it. It does help get the word out there. We are on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Just search Cloud of Witnesses Radio and you'll find us. And where else are we, Nick?
Yeah, we're also on Spotify and Amazon Music. Basically, wherever podcasts can be found, if you search Cloud of Witnesses Radio or Cloud of Witnesses Journey with the Saints, you're bound to find us. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Nick, Christ is risen.
Truly is risen.
And you guys, stay tuned for our next couple of episodes. We're really excited about it.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
I'm Dominic, and I was the narrator.
I'm Tirza, and I was the daughter.
I'm Dominique, and I was the blind mother.
I'm Nick, and I was the guard.
I'm Justin, and I was the deacon.
I'm Joshua, and I was the former parishioner in Armenia.
I'm Jeremy, and I was a bunch of voices in the background.
I'm Lev, and I was St. Meletius.
Woo-hoo! And you guys, that's a wrap. Nice work, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Cloud of Witnesses, Journey with the Saints. We hope it proved to be exciting and inspiring for all of our listeners. May God, through the prayers of His most pure Mother and all the saints, guide us all to the heavenly homeland. We hope to see you next time here on Cloud of Witnesses, Journey with the Saints.